Hello and welcome. I'm Amritanshu Rai and you're watching Law of the Land on Raj Sabha TV. Today we bring to you the Foreign Educational Institutions Regulation of Entry and Operation Bill 2010. The bill seeks to regulate and manage grant of degree, diploma and technical certificates by foreign universities in India. To discuss the issue, I have with me Mr. D. Pentel, former Vice Chancellor, Delhi University, and Dr. Julian Francis, Senior Advocate. Now for the headlines. The bill seeks to regulate foreign education providers. As of now, there is no umbrella for legal framework to do so. The bill seeks to govern grant of degree, diplomas and technical certificates by foreign educational universities. And the Medical Council favors an increase in the existing 50 crore rupees corpus amount, says corpus not enough to start medical colleges. The Foreign Educational Institutions Regulation of Entry and Operation Bill 2010 seeks to regulate operations of the foreign educational institutions in the country. It seeks to govern institutions granting degree, diploma and technical educational certificates, including medical college certificates. According to the bill, all foreign educational providers will have to maintain a corpus fund of a minimum of 50 crore rupees.
There are several foreign educational institutions operating in the country without any proper regulation. Absence of an effective regulatory mechanism for operation of these institutions has increased the chances of unfair practice. The Foreign Education Institutions Bill seeks to address such issues in the higher education and technical field.
Till now, we don't have an education institution or a university in the top 200. And students therefore are going abroad paying high fees and they are getting education. So therefore it is which is much needed that we need universities of top caliber where they provide best education for the students, so that students who want good education can have that education in India itself.
The bill provides that any foreign educational institution intending to operate in India has to be registered as a foreign educational provider by the central government on the recommendation of the registrar. The registered foreign institution must impart education which is in conformity with the standards laid down by the concerned authority. The quality of curriculum and the faculty should be comparable to education being imparted in its main campus. Foreign education institutions have to maintain a corpus fund of a minimum of 50 crore rupees. Up to 75% of income generated from this corpus fund can be used for developing its institution, and the rest has to be recycled back to the corpus fund. The bill provides central government the right to exempt a foreign institution found violating the provisions. Any wrong or misleading information violating the law will attract a penalty of 10 lakh rupees to 50 lakh rupees.
If there are any foreign universities, they cheat or do indulge in the malpractices, then some of the amount can be recovered. But then this 50 crore, such a big amount of corpus fund, also means that the foreign universities will charge heavy fees and should have enough money.
At present, the All India Council for Technical Education has notified regulations for entry and operation of foreign universities and institutions imparting technical education in India. Present rules permit foreign universities to collaborate with Indian partners through various mechanisms. However, there are very few globally renowned universities who collaborate with India. It is unclear if the bill would attract quality foreign universities given the stricter guidelines. With camera person Nitin Gupta, Reshma Roy, Rajya Sabha TV.
One side of the argument is that would it limit access and lead to commercialization. The other argument is it would increase choices for students and enhance competition in the sector. Is there a possibility of a limited entry based on the reputation of the institution? My question to you, Mr. Pentel, is which side of the argument do you stand on? Are you in favor of this? Do you let this, or are you for a balanced approach? What is the
No, my obsession has been more with the public institutions because I served in one and I'm working in University of Delhi.
Right, sir.
We know that a lot of private institutions have come up in India. I believe most of them are run more like a business model than the philanthropy that produced some of the private universities in the United States. Add to that, some foreign institutions may also, like to come to India. And this bill basically sort of draws the bottom line for them, that you cannot descend below that. So, in everything there are two aspects. One, you cannot descend below this. The other thing is the creative part. What will it bring to the table?
country,
What
yeah.
kind of universities will come?
Is there anything that we have in terms of a legal framework? Because there are already over 600, 650 institutions operating in this country and giving, education, certificates, degrees, diplomas, various formats. This benchmark, does it exist or it doesn't as of now?
Yes, see, till now the legal framework is that no institution can award a degree unless it is a university, and it should be recognized by University Grant Commission. This is the present legal framework. Now, this bill for the first time enabled a foreign education institution to come and set up a campus or in collaboration with an existing university to give education to the students and also award degrees. So, I would say till now, maybe after 60 years of independence, more than 60, no foreign university has entered India.
I'll bring to your notice certain statistics. The entire education market, so as to say, as they say it in private sector, is worth over $4 billion.
Yeah.
1,60,000 students go abroad
That's
every
right.
year to study, and about 2,64,000 students are already studying abroad. Given the dynamics, do you think this bill will allow foreign institutions, the kind we want, to come and operate on Indian soil?
Well, one aspect which my colleague here has mentioned, that at least you start by allowing, you create that legislative framework or the legal framework that somebody can come. Well, let's begin with that, because I think, we should be very open to ideas. I don't like this idea that only this should be done, private universities should not be developed, because, the student number is very high. But what kind of practices they are following? Is it philanthropy or is it a business model? Then it should be very clearly stated, like why any campus will come here if, for example, there is
no business model.
No business model.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I think we should be very, very upfront and say, this is what we are going to allow. Too many of our students are going abroad. We want to keep some of them here. We would like foreign universities to come and bring their good practices with them so that our own system gets a little bit of shake up, that, don't just sit here, move forward.
Time for us to head into a break. When we come back, we will talk about the Medical Council's concern relating to the bill. Welcome back. The Medical Council of India, in its submission before Parliamentary Standing Committee, said that the prescribed corpus of 50 crore rupees is not enough for foreign educational institutions setting up medical colleges and hospitals in the country.
According to the Medical Council of India, setting up medical colleges by foreign institutions will involve patient safety and monitoring of other health services being offered. In order to do this, temporary license for a foreign teacher or doctor coming to India will be required and enforced.
One of the criteria is that the institution must have been in existence in the country of its origin or existence for at least 20 years, and it should be an accredited institution in that country.
It also is possible that our faculty who are currently teaching abroad, many of them would like to come back if they get into some quality institutions.
The Association of Indian University AIU report shows an increase in the number of foreign educational institutions from 144 in the year 2000 to 631 in the year 2010. Of the 440 foreign institutions operating from their home campuses, 158 are from United Kingdom, 80 from Canada, and 44 from United States of America. Of the 633 institutions, 277 foreign institutions did not indicate any website address in their advertisements. Out of the 60 foreign institutions having collaboration with local institutions, only 25 local institutions were affiliated to approved universities. Of the 49 foreign institutions operating under joint venture arrangements, only 32 are with affiliated institutions.
Bill defines foreign education provider as one which can be independently make its establishment, that is basically branch campus. Secondly, any foreign universities operating in collaboration or partnership mode, and thirdly, under twinning arrangement. These three different forms will have different implications.
Probably a little closer look at the mechanisms by which they operate within the country and the penalties that are imposed on them if they violate the conditions.
The bill seeks to create an advisory board to advise the government on matters relating to the foreign educational institutions to be appointed by the central government. The board will have 3 distinguished academics, one of whom shall be designated as a chairperson. While the range of foreign involvement is vast, the bill seems to focus much of its efforts only on one kind of foreign involvement, which is the foreign university branch campus. Reshma Roy for Rajya Sabha TV.
Present rules permit foreign universities to collaborate with Indian partners through various mechanisms. However, few globally renowned universities collaborate with India. Will the bill be able to attract quality foreign universities given the stricter guidelines? So, your reaction?
Well, I think that is something which we should do at a much larger scale than we are doing today. Interacting with foreign universities, getting into large number of students being exchanged. They don't pay fee here, we don't pay fee there. And that will solve a lot of
issues,
problems of that people are not able to afford. As I said, you know, it's a long haul. How do you build great universities? How do you get the best of the universities to come here? How do you rectify the problems, the openness which this bill is seeking, that everything should be put on the website? This should be a general thing for all the universities, whether public funded, whether private funded, what kind of students you have admitted, what is the marks that they got, how much, if you are filling it with your own quota, we should know. What is that quota? You are admitting a 45%er when others are 60%er.
Yeah.
So I think we have to put some very ethical benchmarks for all our universities, because universities are preparing the citizens of tomorrow who are going to serve the country. So we cannot leave any, you know, malpractices
Ambiguity,
out.
yeah.
And, you know, so there are lots of challenges. I mean, nobody is doubting that. And I just want to mention one thing to you. Out of all the bills, one bill which is critically important, you might have discussed, is the NCHER.
Yeah.
Because there we want to combine the engineering and the science and
Yes.
create interfaces and interdisciplinarity. But I think the model where we interact with universities should be implemented immediately, because it's part of the governance issue. We don't need to, you know, get into the hyper opposition mode in which our parliament sometimes gets into. Nothing will be passed. But if we have enabling thing, then probably we can think of more creative ways in how do we get good institutions to come and open a campus in India. It's a big thing to happen, because these universities, which are great universities around the world, they are also research universities.
Yeah.
Their reputation is not only teaching, but also research. Now, where from the money is going to come for research?
Yeah.
In their own countries, they are funded by their own federal grants.
Yes.
Will we be prepared to fund them? If we fund them, where the intellectual property will go? Will it belong to India, or will it belong to to the university. So I think
It's
more.
what I mean, summing up, it's a good step forward. Is that what you're
We should have a legislation which enables something to happen.
Legislation.
And then we,
go forward and amend
be
and change.
creative.
Yeah. Dr. Francis, the point I wanted to get from you is on the faculty bit, because that is where the intellectual property is, the faculty. Does the bill specify anything relating to faculty?
Yeah, the bill says that the foreign education provider should also bring faculty curriculum of the same standard and quality as it has been imparting in the country.
Isn't that vague?
Yes, of course, but the problem is, real problem is the availability of faculty, because in Indian education scenario, there is a inadequate faculty in all the institutions, higher or universities or higher level institutions. So, one thing which is being now debated is whether the foreign education service provider will attract top quality faculty from existing institutions by offering them good remuneration. This is one risk which is being debated. Secondly, will they bring their top faculty from their own university and bring them to in India to conduct the courses?
Is there any enabling clause which empowers or enables this to happen?
It is one of the, when the bill says that the faculty, that standard and the faculty from there should be one of the mandate, then of course it enables them to bring. That is of course one, the universities also, foreign universities also.
You wanted to add something, Mr.
No,
Venkat?
I want to say, you see, this faculty shortage is a fact. In many areas, we do not have adequate faculty, in some areas. And in general also. Why, for example, we are not short of bright kids. So why are we not taking some of the bright kids? Let's say we want to populate our new IITs with excellent people with excellent engineering degrees from some of the leading institutions of the world. Why can't we fund some of them and send them abroad? By the time the IITs are ready, we will have 400, 500 people
who are already ready and prepared to take on.
I think these are governance issues. This doesn't require any legislation. It just needs imagination. And these kind of recommendations are there. And there is a desire also to do it, but somehow
the framework is not
somehow
happening.
we move. Sometimes we keep on thinking about things which are so straightforward and so clear.
On that note, I'll come to you, Mr. Dr. Francis. It's time for us to head into a break. When we come back, we will show you an interview with Professor Upendra Bakshi, former Vice Chancellor of Delhi University. Welcome back. My colleague Reshma Roy spoke to Professor Upendra Bakshi, former Vice Chancellor, Delhi University, and tried to get his view on the proposed bill.
What do you think are the implications of this bill?
So when you look at the bill, at the first sight, it seems that the bill is more about regulation than facilitating the entry. The purpose of the bill is to exercise as much control over foreign educational institution as is necessary.
It is not clear if the bill would attract quality foreign universities given the stricter guidelines. What are your views?
The guidelines are the guidelines really relate to prevention of unauthorized foreign educational institution giving certification, and I think that's very desirable. The other guidelines are simply guidelines about national standards of education, university education. I don't call it higher education. Okay, any education is high enough. I call it primary, secondary, tertiary, or university level education.
The Medical Council of India in its standing committee report said that the corpus of 50 crore rupees would be inadequate for the foreign universities to set up medical colleges in India. Do you find any ground for this argument?
But I think the additionalities, first of all, there is a corpus fund and there is operating resources. I think this, as far as I read the bill, it's the minimum investment that they should make, because the regulation, the operation of foreign universities will be subject to, for example, Indian Medical Council. It can provide for additionalities. Now, how, and it can also argue with the super body that is going to certify all these institutions in particular cases to raise this. It's not a question anymore of subsidization of foreign educational institutions.
So, do you find any lacuna in this bill? And how do you view this bill?
I think this bill, in days of liberalization and so on, leans too much on the side of regulation. There are so many burdens to be borne by a foreign educational institution, and it doesn't seem to make distinctions between universally acknowledged excellent institutions in the world who want to come in.
The bill is not clear as to why foreign institutions may be given certain exemptions by the government, since they have to follow all other laws in force. But before we go to that point, I would like to get you in to all the points that Professor Bakshi was making. It is over-regulation. There is this constant attempt to ensure that they operate within certain parameters. Do you agree? Do you get a feel of the same kind as when you read the bill?
You see, if we want to attract some of the best universities which have already made a mark somewhere else, these they will go with their own momentum. But as I said, some bottom line has to be made. So this is an attempt to make that bottom line, and also the trust levels are at low levels in our country right now, which is very unfortunate. You expect people to be generally ethical, institutions to be generally ethical, but somehow it seems everybody, and there are so many examples, so I'm not surprised that trust levels are low, but that inhibits creativity. When the trust levels are so low, how do you operate? How do you be creative? Everything you do has to follow to that bottom line. You meet that bottom line, and then you are okay.
Okay. On the standards, see, first you create an environment to get them to come to this country. Second, you ask them to put in certain amount of money. Then you tell them that this is how you're going to use that money. And fourth, and then you expect them to follow certain standards. Those standards remain vague. On the faculty level, on the other academic level, nothing clear. But the other prerequisites are absolutely clear. That first you do these three things. Do you think that's how we should go about getting prominent and important foreign universities to come and enter in our country and give?
See, one thing, good foreign universities, they want autonomy in their functioning. Curriculum setting, teaching, standard, in whatever you say, admission of student. So, if they look for a free environment where they can really function with full autonomy, this bill may not be the ideal legal framework for them to operate.
So, tomorrow if a professor from Harvard comes and he has to subscribe to the curriculum of UGC, or the professor sitting there on the board, then do you think that's the right environment to go about it?
But that may not be, but things are may also, when they come and they ask for more autonomy, they may get it, because bill also provides for an exemption provision, where the government can exempt certain institutions on the basis of the recommendation of the advisory committee to totally exempt from the provisions of the bill. So, that is why this is a sort of escape route is also provided in the bill.
Do you think that's a good enough escape route? So, which means if there is a foreign university that comes in and it's of the category of Harvard or let's say Oxford, and it wants certain exemptions as to the intellectual activity and curriculum and says I want certain amount of autonomy, then what do? I go and apply to the HRD ministry that please give me.
Laws can never regulate creativity or create creativity.
Yeah.
Laws are how to behave. you cannot go below this standard. If you do this, you will be hit with, with a rod. That's law's job, that we don't descend below a particular level, or certain domains are maintained in a way that society functions. But creativity has, more imagination is required, more, you have to.
Can you actually contain it in a legal framework, creativity?
No,
Should there be an attempt at all?
No, not at all. It won't help. That's why I'm saying, where will they do their research from? Where will the funding will come? Because these universities, no good university can live without a good research program.
See, but one thing, at the same time you have to also, or we have to bear in mind, how do you regulate bad institutions? Because it's happening in US. We know
trust issue.
examples where institutions just take money, fly by night operators. So many educations in India also proved. We have seen Supreme Court has also to say many institutions, universities which are functioning only on the name board.
Yeah, I
So
get it.
we have to also balance. So from a regulatory point of view,
This is
they have
relevant.
to see the worst situation, and how to
Yes, Mr.
regulate.
Pentul,
One thing which I think is good in the bill for sure, which as I've understood it, is the bare minimum which they should do in terms of transparent behavior. Whom have you admitted? Your courses should be on the website, and this Vice Chancellor's Committee, many other committees have already suggested UGC
Several
MHRD that there should be absolute transparency in what are we doing, how many are passing, how many are failing, whether the teachers are going to the classroom, whether the
Students are going.
the students are going. That kind of information the society deserves to know, whether it's a public institution or a private institution or a foreign university.
Thank you, sir, for joining us on this discussion. It's time for us to end the show. You can email your suggestions and comments to law.rstv@gmail.com. You can also watch our shows on the YouTube. We'll be back with a new issue and a new episode. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV.